got to know. If you want to understand, you got to know.
Hey YouTube, Equals Iman here, how's it going? Just today, I felt like making a vid. I thought I'd talk about something else that I love about Japan, or that I think applies with any country really, and that is just how when you experience a different culture, how it makes you look at everything differently and reevaluate everything. Interesting thing with Japan is that compared to the rest of Asia, I think you'll find everything here looks very familiar. It's very modern and very developed. There's trains, it's clean, it's very orderly. There's McDonald's, Starbucks, everything that you're used to. And I think that's partly why foreigners get so caught out here, because they expect everything to be familiar and it's not. And so, yeah, you kind of, everything looks the same, but it's fundamentally built on different values, different history, different religious background, and all these values that get carried up. The way that people fundamentally think is just totally different. And it's funny sometimes how it catches you off guard. When you first come here, you expect everything to be familiar, and that it's not. And then you get used to that, and you start understanding Japanese culture and certain aspects of it. Like, for example, people are more polite than what I'm used to in countries that I come from. And just when you get used to that, one day someone will walk up to you and say, "Hey, you've been putting on a bit of weight there lately, you're getting a bit chubby." Or as I recall when I first went and stayed with a homestay in Japan, and I was showing them a photo of my family, and they looked at my dad, and they were saying in Japanese, "Yeah, Otosan chotto futotteru ne, your dad's a bit fat, isn't he?" And, you know, I mean, I come from for a culture that's very polite. I don't come from a country where it's okay, for example, to say that your mama is so fat in normal social situations. So it kind of threw me off guard. But yeah, no, it turns out in Japan it's perfectly acceptable, normal conversation to say to someone, "Yeah, hey, you're getting a bit fat, you're getting a bit chubby, you better watch yourself." And it kind of threw me back at first, because I mean, for one thing, guys don't really care where I come from, even though maybe we should. And on top of that, the whole sensitivity thing, that I think if you tell someone that they're getting fat, there's an implication that you're going to give them anorexia. But it's funny as well, because when you're taken out of your element like that and you're always confronting new culture, it makes you look at makes you look at the things that you take for granted and reevaluate them in a new light. And I think for example, the thing with weight, yeah, I didn't really notice I was getting podgy, but people started to tell me, and I had put on a few kilos when I checked, and it motivated me to keep a watch and, you know, not get too fat. And it's funny, people in Japan aren't fat. It's a very healthy country. I mean, you know, you get fat people, but overall, I think it's partly because people are able to talk about whether people are putting on weight or not, and are able to say it to one another, that people here are healthier. So I think it's kind of a good thing, actually. And it's funny, at the same time, it's hard to say. Japanese will consider, "Oh, you're getting a bit older now, look at you, you're getting older," is kind of, it's the same, they take that the same way that we take, "Hey, you've gotten fat." But overall, yeah, you have to be much more careful with manners with Japanese. But amongst that, yeah, it's funny, because sometimes you'll get thrown that, "Hey dude, wow, you've gotten fat." So that's kind of funny. And it's something which I suggest you be prepared for. But at the same time, it's interesting. I think that the Japanese have the right angle on that. I've kind of taken that to heart. I don't tell people that they're fat, but I certainly watch my weight a lot more than I probably did before. Speaking of fat people, as of yesterday, the Natsu Basho, the summer tournament of the Sumo, just started up. I love Sumo, and in fact I'm addicted to the ESPN Sports Sumo show, which I'd come home, my routine is I'd come home from work and I'd watch it at 11:30 every night. I found out it's just been cancelled. They're showing the whole first 7 or 8 days of the tournament in one hit, and the second half in another hit, which means I've got to go and stay up until 1:30 a.m. or program my recorder or something so I can record it off NHK. And it's really pissing me off, actually, because I wanted to do this big thing, introducing sumo to everybody. It's one of those things, when you come to Japan, I didn't go for years, but when I did go, and the reason is that there were like 42 wrestlers or something in the top division. It's really hard to learn everybody and to figure everything out, but yeah, you only have to pick a couple of wrestlers that you like, and to get into it. And you don't even have to know anybody to go along and enjoy it. I mean, it's a real mix of old-fashioned theatre and sort of drama, and it's got the big culture thing, and it's really, I mean, the rules are really simple, it's really fast and exciting, so I really recommend if you come to Japan, get up to the Kokugikan and get into sumo. Just for what it's worth, I'm a fan mostly of the Mongolian wrestlers because they've got awesome moves. They've got like the Mongolian sumo is 3 times the moves of the Japanese sumo, so they always use these cool tricks to win, which is kind of interesting. So the ones that I like are Ama, I like Hakuho and Asashoryu. I probably like Asashoryu for the drama factor, although Hakuho seems like a much nicer guy. Just for the Mongolians, and there's also there's a bunch of other foreigners. There's Kokai, who's a Georgian guy who's doing quite well. And for the Japanese guys, I quite like Kakizoya. He's quite lowly ranked, but I quite like his attitude. And there's a few other guys there, but yeah, I'll post some links so you can sort of learn a bit about what's going on with sumo in Japan and what's going on with the current tournament. And I might even try to show something on this at some point. But yeah, it's funny. I mean, tell me, if people have been to Japan, you know, what are the cultural sort of shocks which have surprised you and you've got here? Definitely the fat thing definitely threw me a lot at first. I think another thing was learning to be naked in public or with people at onsens and stuff like that was a big one as well. But what were the shocks for you? I mean, on balance, I still think, yeah, there's a lot of things here. It's changed the way I look at a lot of things coming here because it really takes you out of your own value set and your own when you're brought up, and it makes you look at everything more rationally. So it's really cool actually. But yeah, tell me what you think. So look forward to hearing back and talk to you later. Peace.
Stop the tape. This kid needs to be locked away.